Curtis.
Joseph, what's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much, buddy. How are you doing today?
Oh, it's been another week. I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good. I've been waiting all week.
Yeah, we've been waiting all week. It's time to get stood up and corrected.
You ready to get corrected?
Let's do it.
All right. Episode 6, we stand corrected. Here we go. Last week we talked about our Vegas trip, our Vegas experiences. I think they lived up to the hype. What do you think?
Crazy horse.
That good old crazy horse sugar. And the hot ladies at the Crazy Horse 3. So, I know we roughly got on off topic. You were talking about doing a Mike Tyson and Jake Paul party the other day.
Dude. Yeah, so this Mike Tyson fight that's supposed to happen in July with Jake Paul. I don't know a lot about Jake Paul, but I know that he's not going to whoop Mike Tyson's ass.
And how old's Mike? He's got to be, 55? 50?
He's 57 years old.
Are you sure?
57 years old.
I'm looking
now. You can search it up. Search it up.
I'm going to quickly fact check you, okay? Because we don't want you to be like Crooked Don.
Typical Democrat move.
Yep. Crooked Donnie. Okay. Fact check.
Yeah, dude, for being that age, though, I have never seen... I think he looks better now than he did back in his heyday.
You think so?
This dude, back in the 90s, this dude was splaying people out with one punch. Like, a lot of his fights only made it one round.
That's true. He likes ears. I know that.
And Jake Paul, and he's crazy, dude. But Jake Paul, he's good. But I think he bit off more than he can chew this time.
He might get bit off.
So
you are right.
Speaking of biting off, and I'm gonna when this fight happens, we're gonna have a big old get together. We're gonna barbecue and set up a projector out in the backyard and party it up and watch the fights.
Are you sure? You've been flaking on me, buddy. You've been flaking.
I'm a man of my word. Especially when it comes to a Mike Tyson fight.
All right. I just fact checked you. You were right. 57. Most of your facts are right. Hey, I got you there. Okay. I got you. So
back to the vacation thing. We talked a little bit last week about our Vegas trip, which was, I thought, filled with humor when talking about Joseph here getting his lap dance with the bubble guts. It's one of my favorite stories ever. It's right par with my drive-in movie theater experience.
They matched up well, let me tell you. Yeah, I've been to Vegas so many times, and I'm ready to explore the world a little bit more. But
you've been to Mexico too, though, right?
One time. Well, I've been twice. I went once as a kid. My grandparents, we were playing in this baseball tournament. I was like 11 years old, maybe 12. I don't remember. We had this baseball tournament in Tucson, Arizona, and we had a break in between games. And Tucson's not far from the border. And my grandma was like, hey, let's go. So it's my grandpa, my grandma, my mom, and me. And we take off and we go to a town. It's called Nogales, Mexico. Have you ever heard of Nogales? We get in and we just walk across because that's how easy it was back then. I don't remember much about this, but I remember getting over there and everyone is selling things on the corner, right? Like you get over, they're on the streets, they're selling necklaces that are like plastic and they're like, how much? And I looked at this necklace, this chain. It wasn't even a chain. I bet you it was plastic. And how I remember this, I don't know. And I was like, Mom, give me that necklace. She was like, okay, how much for the necklace? And he was like, $20. And my mom was like, $20 for this? And she was like, I'll give you $5. And I got a necklace for $5. And that's what I remember about that trip. And I remember being able to just, as you cross back over, all you had to say was that you were an American citizen and you got to walk back across. Because that was before.
Wow, that easy.
That was before 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow. Times changed.
That's about all I remember from it. I know
you didn't even used to have to have a passport to go there.
Yeah, I didn't. Nobody did out of us. I don't think. We just walked in or walked back. And now I probably wouldn't even touch going into that town. But
No, dude, I probably wouldn't. I'd stay away as far away as I could get from any of them border towns.
yeah, but yeah, I've been to Cancun. Um, enjoyed it. Enjoyed it a lot,
It's a
actually.
lot the same though. I mean, they have their. We used to go there quite often too. Well, down to Riviera Maya, which is not far from Cancun. And what I used to do is I'd stock up on my fake Oakley sunglasses while I was down there. You know, it was the same deal. You know, how much for the sunglasses? $35. $10. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we went to Cancun and we were staying in, I think it was called, I don't know how you say it, Ryu?
Ryu Palace.
Yeah. And next door to us was, it's so weird. So you could like see out of our window. Next door was just like some janky stuff. And then we're like on this nice stuff and you could walk there, but you could tell where the property lines cut off because the seaweed filled the shores and the weeds and everything because they wouldn't clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then right over there was a ferry boat, and it took you to Isla Mujeres.
Okay.
And I was like, let's go check that out. And me just wanting to go explore and probably not make the best decisions. I went, I walked over there by myself and bought ferry tickets on this boat because I'd been watching these ferries just go back and forth, the whole time we were there. And so I went and bought ferry and we got over there. And it reminded me every little bit of Nogales when we got off at the little port station there. Like people on the side of the road trying to sell you the same stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
there was this one cat, he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, bud, I remember you. You were at the Rio." He was like, "Yeah, I served you alcohol the other night." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And I was just like, "Okay." And I don't know how he knows this. And I was like, "They all look familiar." So I was like, "Yeah, cool." He's like, "Hey, you should come check out my shop." I was like, "Okay, let's check it out." So he walks us over there and it's a jewelry shop and he's taking us down the street. And I just wanted to stay on the main little strip that they had there. And he ventures us off in a little alleyway and I'm like, "Oh shit, this ain't good."
Here we go. Right.
Here
This
we
is where horror
fucking go.
stories start.
Yes, here we go. And I'm like, if we keep going, I'm just turning around. Just turning around. He walked up about 2 buildings and goes in. And I'm like, what the fuck is this place? Because it's like in an alleyway with a glass door. And walk in and it's a nice jewelry store, right? Like it's got glass and all this. And he goes, "Can I get you guys a water or a drink or something like that?" And he's like, "Hey, just watch the shop for a second." And we're like, "What? Watch a shop?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go get you water. Just watch it." Like, okay. So it's just us. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Just watch it. Like, what's about to happen here? And so we're just looking around at, all the jewelry and it's nothing, thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. I mean, it's okay stuff. And there's this little turtle we see. We're like, "Oh, we could get this for a daughter." And ask how much, and he's like $100. And it's like a turtle that changes colors. If you've seen uh like those stressed
Like a
colors,
mood ring or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, that you get in the States for like a couple bucks. He's like, "I give it
Mm-hmm.
to you for $100." And we're like, "No, ain't no way that is $100." And so that was the insight. And it was like, all right, we should probably get the fuck out of here before we get murdered. So we just get out of there, and there's a restaurant right at the beach. And so I'm like looking like, when's the next ferry time? When's the next ferry time? Because at this point, I'm like, I ain't staying to go down another alley again. So moral of the story is, I got in and got the fuck out, and back to the resort. And I got to thinking, well, how did that guy know me? It wasn't that he knew me; he saw my wristband. Because when you're at the resort, you got to wear the wristband. So it didn't click right away, but fucker's a con artist and knew it. And my dumbass was like all gullible and playing, okay, yeah, maybe he does. They all look alike. And it dawned on me, he saw the wristband because you got to have for the all inclusive, so they know to serve you the
Mm-hmm.
wristband. So,
They're sly down there, man.
yep,
They pay attention when they're selling shit.
no shit, no shit. But I know you've been to Cancun, and what is it? What's the one just south of Cancun?
Riviera Maya,
Yeah,
about half an hour south of
that's
there.
right.
I really prefer Riviera Maya because it's not Cancun. It's not. It's not like a big city. It's out in the middle of nowhere. The resorts are really nice. It's kind of the up and coming, basically what Cancun used to be. And I know there's some nice places in Cancun also, but um, you talk about Isla Mujeres. When we went for our honeymoon, we went there.
Yeah.
We stayed in Cancun, and we took a sailboat tour where we got stop and snorkel, and it stopped off at Isla Mujeres. And from the way you make it sounds like it hasn't changed much. Like we literally got off the sailboat on a boat dock
You took a
and walked
sailboat
into the.
all the way there?
We took a sailboat. It was cool. It was real cool. They were serving us tequila and shit on the way over there.
That's not an easy trip though, dude. That island you can see from Cancun, but it's a good distance, man.
Yeah, this was like an all day deal. Like we didn't get home until late that night, but we got to stop and snorkel at I think it's the Palancar Reef, which is one of the best areas, nicest reefs in the world. But I'll never forget getting off at Isla Mujeres, man. We walk off the boat, and the first thing you see is a little stand selling beer, and I think they serve food there too. But you walk in this covered pavilion.
It might have
You
been
get
the same.
outside of that.
It might have been the same place because that's where I finished when I walked into a back alley. There was a covered pavilion where they served beer and food.
It sounds like it. It really does. And there's a beach right there.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing boats come in there, but lots of little stores. And we had it's really ironic that you tell me this story about asking to be stuck in the store, because we had verbatim the same thing happen. They didn't recognize us or our wristbands, but we find this it was like a little trinket store. Tina's into jewelry and stuff like that. We're looking around. We didn't have any cash. All we had was our cards.
Yeah.
And she found this thing that she wanted, and this little old lady that's running the place goes, "Oh, well, you come with me down." And they go down the street to use the ATM. And she tells me, "You just watch the store." So I'm sitting in this chair in this store, right? And there's people coming in there. Well, I don't know any, I don't work there. And, well, how much for this? How much for that? And I'm like, I really don't know.
How much you pay for the new guy? Too much money.
I'm like, I'm watching people making sure they don't steal stuff from her. But then I get to thinking too, I'm like, man, this is really not a good move. She could be taking my wife down the road into an alleyway to get robbed.
Yeah.
You just don't know. But she was a really honest old lady. She took her right to the ATM, right back. They're trusting. There's really, really good people in Mexico also.
Yeah. No, I mean, we ended up going downtown. I was like, I wanted to just see downtown. I wanted to explore just a little bit. I didn't want to go far enough, but I wanted to venture, and we found a Senor Frogs that was downtown and hung out there, which was cool because it was still very Americanized, and you didn't have to really speak the language because everyone spoke your language. So, and hung out there, and then we ended up. Well, I didn't want to do this, but I don't like the water. I'll go in the water. I don't like the water. But somebody got the crazy idea, like, well, we need to rent jet skis, and I'm like, no, we don't. No. No, I don't know if I ever told you this story. So we ended up renting a jet ski. I got talked into this, which dumb on my part. I knew it was a bad idea, and I'm riding on the back, not driving. And we get going, and we rented the jet skis, right off the beach of where we're staying, and we aren't even going that fast, and we get thrown off by a wave, dude, and I am just pissed, and I'm like, oh fuck, and off we go. I'm slammed out into the water, floating around like losing. I got nice Oakleys on at the time, and they popped off, and I'm like, oh shit. And so here I am, find my Oakleys, and then because I mean we're a good ways off the beach. And I'm looking around and I'm like, where the fuck's the jet ski? And this fucking thing is floating off out to sea, dude. Floating off. And I'm like, fuck. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, nobody's out here. And I ended up just like, I caught up to it, but it took me a hot minute as this fucker's floating off. And then here they come because they see like that we got thrown off. And they come, I mean, it was like 5-10 minutes later. And they fly drones out there with cameras to check on you. So as I'm floating around out there in the water, I see this drone flying over me. And they use these drones to take like pictures of you. So like you can buy pictures, but also probably to check on your safety to make sure you're not being a dumbass like we were out there floating around as this thing's floating off to Isla Mujeres.
I can just imagine this scene too.
Dude. So long moral of the story, I ended up driving the jet ski because somebody didn't know how to ride the waves. So yeah, that was those were the stories of my trip, my only real trip to Mexico.
So kind of same thing, you know, very well, not me. I never rented one, but the first place I ever stayed at in Mexico, in Cancun, actually, they rented jet skis, and they also had these little sailboats that you can rent, like little miniature catamarans.
Yeah,
two hauled, you know, like the fabric in between that you sit on.
Yeah.
Well, and they would rent them out for a fee, and then, you know, they give you kind of a basic rundown. I'm sitting on the beach drinking a beer. I'm about half wasted anyway at this point because that's what you do down there. You drink and eat and have fun. I'm watching this guy. He goes and rents one, and they're giving him the lowdown on how to control this thing. This guy did not have a clue. You could tell by the time he got it in the water, all he knew how to do was make it go straight. So he gets it out in the water, and I just see him go take off. And I look up a little bit later, and he's way the fuck out there. Like, it was way the fuck out there. They had to get on the jet ski and go get his dumb ass. He was on his way to Cuba.
That's funny. Did you ever try?
Couldn't.
Did you ever try parasailing out there?
I never have. Always wanted to, though. It looks like a ball.
It's really cool. It's really cool, and it's not intense at all. It's really relaxing. Actually, you get up there, it's calm. It's like really not a lot of wind like you would think. It's so calm, and then you get to look down, and so the water's so blue. Like you can look down and see everything swimming around in there. Like I couldn't tell you how many turtles I saw just swimming around in the water down there.
Oh, yeah.
So if I had one thing to tell you to try, it would be parasailing. I mean, it's really a peaceful experience.
Okay.
Until you see the TikToks of everyone where the line busts off out in the middle of a storm because they take them out there in the middle of a windstorm and they bust off and go flying.
Right.
But
yeah, no, it does. It looks cool. I can only imagine it.
Yeah.
The waters down there are so clear. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a cool spot, man. I'm not going to lie. You know, and what have been the best beaches you've been to?
In Mexico or anywhere?
Anywhere.
Oh, man, I would say probably Siesta Key Beach in Florida. It's right outside of Sarasota on a little island called Siesta Key.
That's close to Tampa, though, right?
Yeah, it's not far from Tampa. It's probably 20 minutes outside of Tampa.
Is it south or north?
Kind of southwest.
All right, I'm fact checking you again. Siesta Key.
Double check me.
All
See,
right,
there you go.
I'm listening. Talk it up.
But no, it's beautiful. I mean, the water's clear, the water's warm. The sand is so fine, and I don't know what it is about that particular beach, but it's like walking on baby powder.
Yeah.
It's really fine white sand. It's just nice.
Yeah, so it's about 20 minutes south of St. Pete, which is basically Tampa anyways.
Yeah, it's kind of the same area.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay. But That one's really nice. I really like, honestly, Florida's got some great beaches. Miami Beach is beautiful.
I don't like the East Coast as much though on Florida. Do you?
No, it's different when you go to South Florida.
Really?
The East Coast, the water is way warm. It's like the Caribbean.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go down there this summer, so I'm gonna take a little time in Miami to see that beach because we're gonna take a cruise out of Miami this summer. So
Hmm.
I think it's worth just going out and seeing. But I mean, I guess I've never seen the East Coast Florida beaches yet, but I've been to Myrtle Beach, which Myrtle Beach is it's not bad. It's worth a visit in your life. But
The water's not the same though. It's
no,
kind of brown.
yeah, yeah, and that's where coming into that Western Florida, I think are some of my favorite beaches I've been to. Is anywhere in that southwestern Florida area from Tampa to Fort Myers. It's
Hmm.
perfect, dude. I mean, the
Really,
water's
and honestly, Joe, a lot of the beaches that are in the Gulf are nice. Even in Texas.
well, yeah. I still they were. I went to Corpus Christi, but the waves were huge in Corpus, like huge. And but you go to Southwest Florida, like Fort Myers, or I went to St. Pete last summer. The waves are so minimal through there on the Gulf, and that's what I don't
Hmm.
get. I mean, why are the waves so much bigger in Corpus than they are in Southwest Florida?
I don't know. That's
Because
different,
you
man.
can
It's just the weather.
because you can go in Southwest Florida and just float around, and I mean, you can go out there and not worry about being blasted by a fucking 10-footer, you know, coming in. But in Florida, my daughter's out there; she's floating around doing backflips in the water, and but the
Hmm.
the water's 90 degrees too.
Yeah, it's like bath water warm.
No,
It's crazy.
but I like that for some reason.
I do too.
You know, you go in
Um,
the Atlantic, like the Myrtle Beach, it's still a little chilly up there. In the
yeah,
Atlantic. Um, but I spent a lot of time in San Diego. San Diego, I think, is one of my favorite towns, though.
you liked it.
I do. Yeah.
When I was there, I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. And this was long. It was way back when I was in high school.
Oh, it's been a long time then. San Diego to me is like one of the most beautiful towns I've been to in the States, honestly.
Yeah, I'd,
Um,
I'd like to get back out there and check that. That might have to be trip number, 2.0.
I got a story for you out of San Diego.
Okay.
So this was actually like 2, 3 years ago. I took my daughter down. I got I had like a companion pass on Southwest, and it was her birthday. So, um, I just bought one of the flights, and the other one was free. That's what the companion pass does. So her birthday, I took her down to San Diego. I was like, let's just go leave early in the morning, have a beach day, and come back at night. So we were gonna leave in the morning, come back at night, just spend a day at the beach, dude. Just to fly and come back,
Right.
just some crazy trip. Well, we get there and it's kind of a gloomy day. It's cloudy, it's kind of cold. We go hang out at the beach for a little bit, and we're like, it's too cold to hang at the beach. So we were at Mission Beach. Cool spot. There's a lot of cool beaches along there. Pacific Beach, Ocean Beach, really cool. But anyways, we ended up at SeaWorld. And SeaWorld's right down the street from Mission Beach. So buy tickets, go in. Well, the sun comes out. It becomes a really nice day. But since we bought the tickets to go in there, I'm like, well, we're gonna stay because tickets aren't cheap. And they got this ride, this roller coaster. I don't even know if you call it a roller coaster. I don't even remember the name of it, but it is fucking intense. And it cycles through so damn fast, dude. I kid you not. Like the line is never long for this thing. And all it is a complete circle, but it does like corkscrews and all this shit at like 60, 70 miles an hour. So this thing, I can't even read. It's got all these do nots as you're walking through, and I can't even read fast enough because people are like, they're walking through like they know their shit. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to follow the crowd. But there's like signs and all this big shit, right? Like, turns out these signs say, put your phone away. Phone doesn't go on the ride. Wallet, anything in your pockets. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah, this is what it does. And it's just me. And I go sit on this ride. And it's not a hard back seat. It's kind of like soft. And the backs are open, something I've never seen before on a coaster. So like your backside's open, and I made sure I left my phone, my keys, then take my wallet out. And so this thing takes you backwards first, and then it drops you, and you start picking up speed, and you pick it up at like 40, and then you start going up, and you don't quite make it to the top. So it comes back to pick up more speed. So it goes back, and then it hits about the top on the backside, then it sends you back forward. And at this time, you're hitting peak speed, I don't know, like 60, 70 miles an hour. So then you go up, and you're doing these intense coasters, dude. It's these intense forces. I'm like, all right, this is cool. And you do like 2 or 3 loops, then it stops you and it's done. And that's how fast it is. So I was like, oh, shit, that's a fun ass ride. I'm like, I'm going to do it again. And I get up, and I always have this weird thing with my shorts and my pants. I always feel for my wallet. No matter what I do, no matter where I'm at, when I'm sitting down, my wallet was gone. And I was like, I looked down in the seat and I'm like, where the fuck is my wallet? Like, this never happens. Like, I was sitting on it. But as you go on this ride, you leave your seat. Like, you're not in your seat. So there's no, like, I've never been on a ride where your bottom is not sitting at all times. I've never left my seat. So as I'm doing these flips, like, I'm realizing like, wow, I've never left my seat before like this. Well, it turns out as I got to the top of this loop and you're upside down, my wallet fell out.
Oh, shit.
And I'm in a panic at this point. And I'm like, fuck. Like, how am I going to get on my flight? It's got my ID. It's got my credit cards. It's got everything. And I went and asked the people, and they're like, yeah, we saw it fall out at this point or whatever. And I'm like, the fuck? What the fuck am I going to do? So I go up to somebody and they start radioing like, hey, did you see where the wallet fell? Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, yeah, we can't get to it till we shut the ride down. And I'm like, when's that? They're like, when the park closes. And I'm like, what? That's at like 10 o'clock. Flight's at like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, I got a flight tonight at like 10. And he's like, okay, hold on. And he gets on. And they shut this ride down for me, dude. And he was like, this does not happen often. And you're lucky there's not a long ride today, or we wouldn't shut this ride down for you. And they went and got my fucking wallet for me.
That's good karma right there. I know. Like you've done something right in your past.
Fuck, dude. I'd never been so panicked before in my life. So I got my wallet back. I was missing a few cards, but it was whatever at that point. I had my ID. That was all I really needed at that point.
That's cool. That's a good one.
Moral of the story, read the fucking signs.
and listen to them. Leave your wallet at home.
Yeah.
Leave it with grandma or whoever else is with you. Somewhere safe.
Yep. So that was San Diego. Got a lot of stories in San Diego.
You went with a friend of ours, didn't you?
Yeah, dude. That was my best buddy at the time. Yeah. Yeah. And we ended up on a drunk escapade out there on the beach. And my man was a fish, and I'm no fish. Like, I'll get in the water. I don't like I said, I don't like the water.
It's just not your thing.
No. And, but at this point we've been liquored up. And you know what he liked to drink.
Oh yeah. High quality from the bottom shelf.
Yeah, Canadian Mist. I think he actually bought Captain Morgan that night, dude. You should be proud of him. We had Captain Morgan. I was like, all right, I can do that. I can't do that Canadian Mist, but I mean, we're all liquored up, and this is January in San Diego, so it's only like 60 degrees out there. And we're at the same beach I was telling you about, Mission Beach. And it's just us, but the wind's so high. We get going out there, and nobody's on the beach because it's 60 and the wind's blowing. And you get out there, and the water's cold out there. It's cold.
Oh, it's like 50-degree water.
Yep. And the waves are, I mean, people surf out there. And but there's no lifeguards out, sitting at the lifeguard stations at this point because nobody's at the beach. They're driving though. And we get way the fuck out there, and my man's out there, he's diving around like he's a damn dolphin. And he's like, come on. I'm like, all right, I'm coming. And here I am. I'm just muscling through these waves, right? Like I can't swim through this shit to save my ass. And we get out, dude, probably like past the point of a pier almost, I feel like. And you can hear the guys on the from the lifeguards. They're in the truck on the megaphone going, and all you hear is, and they just stop and look, and you hear it again, and you can't make it out. And then they drive off, and I'm just waving. I'm waving like, well, I don't know what you're saying. I can't hear you. And next thing I know, I get blasted by this wave, dude. I got blasted, and here I am trying to like save myself, and I plant my foot, and I slam my foot into the ground. And I'm like, fuck. And he's like, what? And I was like, my foot. And he's like, I was like, I got to get out. I got to get out of here. And I get out, and I must have broke my foot because I got a picture of it, but I have a knot the size of a fucking baseball on my second toe. I have a knot. But at this point, I'm so liquored up, I don't even care. And so
it didn't hurt.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. But like I said, I had enough Captain Morgan in
fuck
me.
It.
Like,
fuck it.
We got out and we just moseyed on with our day. We went in, to these bars. We were doing oyster shooters, and you don't like oysters, do you?
They're not my cup of tea, man. They're like it's like snot.
Yeah, but you ever have an oyster? That's where we would go. We'd go bar to bar asking for oyster shooters. Ugh. Anyways, by the time we get back, dude, I'm hurting because the buzzes wore off, and I'm looking at my foot, and I got a baseball. I got a swelling the size of a baseball on my foot. And I think I've showed you this picture.
Yeah, you sent it to me. I remember when you were on the trip.
Yeah. And I'm in pain at this point, and I'm like, my man is passed out. He's so drunk. And here I am. I'm like, fuck. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to bed. Swollen foot and all. And I get up the next morning, and I'm hurting. But I laced my shoes up super tight and took a little Advil. Dude, and I was good. And I went back at it the next day feeling good. And swelling went away. So
well, that's good. Yeah, I have kind of a traumatic story from when we were down in Key West. Or, well, not in Key West, but in the middle of the Florida Keys. We stayed in Marathon, Florida.
Yeah.
We rent this condo with another couple. They used to be good friends of ours. And long story short, stay away from meth. It changes people. Me and the husband are no longer friends because of that, and they're no longer married. And it's a long story short, but we rent this nice condo down there with them one year, and you could go out probably 150, 200 yards, and there was this sandbar right off the beach at the condo we rented. But it was also like in the middle of this main, marine traffic, like boats and fishing boats, and I mean big boats, like 70-foot yachts coming in. So we rented these paddle boards, and my buddy Jeremy's at the time going, dude, you've got to come out here. It's so cool at this sandbar. So I'm okay. I get on this paddle board, and I'm a bigger guy, so me and the paddle board don't
You got on a
typically work like a
paddleboard?
paddleboard's supposed to work.
Oh, I wish I would have
So
saw
I'm like,
this.
I'm sitting on my paddleboard and rowing it like a boat rather than standing up on it. And I get about, and it's, it's like dusk. It's starting to get dark. It's like sunset time. And I'm like halfway there. Well, the tide shifted and it started coming in rather than going out, which is great because, it would have been terrible. I get about halfway out and I'm like, dude, I've got to turn around, man. By the time I get out there, it's going to be dark. And I've got this humongous, probably, 7-foot long fucking surfboard thing that I'm on and a oar that goes with it. And I'm going, okay. And the tide's coming in. It's flowing. It is pushing me like sideways. So if my beach is at point A, where I'm likely to end up is all the way down here at point Z. It was fast. I'm swimming my ass off to get back to the condo and trying to keep going the right direction. And I finally just jumped off the goddamn board and pulled it and just swam like a normal person. I'm thinking, every shark attack movie I've ever seen in my life happened just like this. It's the time of night when the predator fish start coming out and stuff.
I would have paid good money to see you on a paddleboard.
Oh, I bet I probably would have paid good money to see me off of one. Dude, I'm in the middle of this main marine traffic channel, and there's like these big boats coming in from out in the ocean that have been out deep sea fishing all day and just waving at me like, hey, how's it going? And I'm having like the struggle of my life out here. Thinking, dear God, one of them just please pick me up. Take me back to where I need to be.
You're out here yelling Mayday.
Dude, I'm swimming my ass off and it feels like I'm not even getting anywhere. Well, I finally make it back to shore and I'm like a block away from where our condo is. So I climbed up into somebody's backyard that had one of these big mansions. Well, they didn't have a beach. It was all rocks. So I'm climbing up on these rocks and I'm feeling some funky shit on my feet while I'm climbing up the rocks to get onto the land to get back, start walking back with this gigantic ass board and this oar and shit. And I get closer to the condo and my wife and daughter had walked all the way down because they were worried about me. And my freaking heel is killing me on my foot. What the hell, man? So I make it back to the condo, put the board away, sit down, and I'm looking at my heel and it's got these little spots in it.
Oh, shit.
So I start taking, I asked my wife for a set of tweezers and I start doing a little surgery on myself.
Give me the knife.
Find out I done stepped on me a sea urchin while I was climbing on them rocks.
Oh, shit.
So I had to pull all those little quills out of there.
Oh, man.
And to this day, it tattooed the bottom of my foot. I still have a black mark on the bottom of my foot from where there's one that dissolved in there.
Your foot already looks like a paddleboard, dude. You should have just been floating.
I got flat feet, man. That's why I swim so good. Able to swim upstream in a freaking current in the freaking Caribbean.
Oh, my goodness. That's hilarious. I wish I could have seen you on a paddleboard. So next vacation, you got to tell the wife, we're going and we're taking Joe to the Keys and we're getting on paddleboard.
I already have, I've already told her. I said next time we go, baby Joe's going to go with us. She's like, okay, cool. We can vacation with him. All right. You guys get along good.
No meth, right?
As long as you're not on meth or paint chips or you're not huffing spray paint or anything, I think we'll be just fine. Beer's okay.
Beer and paddleboard's okay. Beer and paddleboard.
We'll sit out on the backyard and fish and drink beer and shoot the shit just like we do on here.
That sounds like my kind of party.
All right.
Well, homie, we made it through 6 episodes officially.
Yeah, episode 6, man. It's crazy how fast it's gone. I'm really enjoying it. Those of you that are, in the mood, like, happy Easter to you. By the time this gets to the online portion, enjoy your family and hold them close. Enjoy some good food and some adult beverages.
Yes, sir. You making anything tomorrow?
We're supposed to go to my mom and dad's and have lunch, and I may do a prime rib for dinner. We'll see depending what time I get home.
Have you tried marinating your prime rib yet in whole milk or buttermilk yet?
I have not. I may need to do that.
You need to do it.
Okay.
Okay. It is a good tenderizer.
I'll take your word. What are your plans?
I'm going to see some family. That's about it. Same. See my parents. So,
All right.
well, until next week, my friend.
Yes, sir. It's another episode down. Please make sure those of you listening that you follow and share.
Yeah,
We can always use more listeners.
Give us a big follow on one of the big social medias. Keep an eye on the next episodes.
If you're not into Spotify, please listen on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep it going. We hope to grow this page pretty big.
All right. Till next week.
All right, we're corrected. Let's stand corrected.
Let's get it. Let's get corrected next week then.
All right. Good night, everyone.
See you later.